Welcome to Flap, and in this episode, we're at home. Now that sounds a little bit odd, and I have to confess it's taken us a little bit to try and set something up to be able to record at home. We're not quite used to doing this. Usually it's out in the field. But why are we at home? Because I've got myself a new toy. Just hot off the press, picked it up today, the new Olympus OM-1. So I'm really looking forward to upgrading to this system and see if we can get some benefits out of it. So I guess this is the grand unboxing. So let's have a look and see how it all comes. So, open it up, it comes open, and usual paraphernalia, cards, warranty thing, manual that nobody ever reads. Well, I think for this camera I may actually have to read the manual for once. And then we peel this open, and the camera's in a nice little black wrap, and a pretty plastic protective foil with lots of cardboard sitting around through here. So if we unfold this, wrapped up nicely, and it's bubble wrap. Is the new OM-1. Alright, distinguishable from its previous counterparts for the which I've had for the Mark II and the Mark IIIs with the EM1s, is that it says OM-1. Other than that, first glances at the camera, it looks pretty much all the stock standard Olympus body type, and that's what they've said in the various reviews around it. Which in all honesty, from my point of view, is quite good because I know where all the buttons are already. From what I can gather, the menus change quite dramatically, but we'll give you a bit more of a rundown of that once I've had a chance to go out and play with it as well. So, on the bottom, battery compartment. Hopefully somewhere in here, in the other adjacent box, will be a battery force so we can plug her in and have a play. So, in our secondary box, one battery. Bits falling out, but I don't know what they are. Lots of stuff in here. Other bits falling out. Straps. Cleaning cloth, power cable for the battery charger, which I'm assuming one of these is this one, by the looks of it. It's interesting, what I can understand is it doesn't actually have a charger as such. It just charges through the USB port, through the power adapter there, but we'll have to have a look in that door. And the standard little tiny Olympus flash, which actually are not bad flashes at the end of the day, I have to admit, but only good for a couple of meters, certainly not anything to be used for bird photography, but great for parties. As part of the package with this does come an additional battery and also a battery charger because I purchased it as a pre-release model. We've upgraded the batteries, so you can feel it's a heavier battery. It still looks pretty much with a standard size and shape. We'll see if it gives us any more lifespan out of it with the f4 lens, which is a very, very battery hungry lens. To give you an example, I would typically go through a full battery in the morning using the f4 300mm lens, so you always need to carry a spare with you. But when I use the little lens that we've got on this camera where we're doing recording, which is the, I keep forgetting, it's the 20 to 100mm f4, I can go for days and days with the battery on that camera without any troubles at all. So let's put this in, standard battery compartment. The other thing I like about this camera is, once again, it's an IP rated camera. So it has, I think it's IP53 they're claiming, which gives you pretty good resistance if you get caught in a bit of a rain shower or something like that, or get some water splashed up onto it, which is once again one of the things more unique to Olympus, where they actually give you a true IP rating rather than just a water resistant type rating. Somewhere around here I have an SD card. So once again, standard slots on the side, takes two SD cards. We use high speed cards, so it should be able to handle the dramatically increased rates that they're talking about. And then once again I have sitting here my good old trusty f4 300mm Olympus. Now Sarah's on the other end of the camera there, so you may hear some rude words in a second, but to me still one of the best lenses on the market for birding. Super crisp, super clear. So there we have the setup. So one of the things I am looking forward to this, and let's see if it's worth the wait, is the viewfinder. much improved resolution. That so here goes nothing, and see how that goes. So we power on. Like I said, power switch is in the same place, and we'll discover that the battery's flat. So I'm going to have to go and charge it up and come back to you in a few minutes. All right, welcome back. We now have a charged battery. All right, little hint to Olympus. Two things. One, send the battery with a bit of charge in so people can turn it on and have a look through it. It'd be really nice. And two, the little adapter that they gave you, which plugs straight into the USB port, it's a USB-C to a USB-C, which is really quite a strange cable, I would have thought. Why they didn't do a standard USB-A with a USB-C on the other end so you can plug it in and out of your computer, your laptop, your charging bank, or whatever else you've got with you, I don't know. It would be much better if they'd done that at the end of the day. So, in the meantime, what I've done is it took 45 minutes we charged it up for, and we got about 25% worth of battery power into it. So, not a fast process by any stretch of the imagination, but I have to say charging through the USB-C ports, and my old Olympus ones as well, was also quite a slow process. The thing I was really looking forward to is the viewfinder. They've made significant changes to that, big increases in the resolution. I've had turned it on, taken a couple of shots. I have to say, I'm not 100% sure if it's quite as good as Sarah's Canon R5, but it wouldn't be far off it. And compared to the old viewfinders and the old camera, it is chalk and cheese. This one is actually crisp, it's clear, you can actually see things, and it's one of the big things that I've always had a gripe about the Olympus. Love my Olympus cameras, the viewfinders have been absolute rubbish. This has finally changed that, and in all honesty, for me, just about the mind detail alone, that was worth buying the camera for at the end of the day. Had a couple of test shots with it, just around the house here. There's a huge storm raging outside, so I can't go outside currently, but it's fast. The focusing with the f4 300mm lens has always been good, still just as good. I can't see any lag in that. Maybe a fraction quicker, maybe it's just me wanting to seize that. Having a look at the body in terms of the old cameras, once again, there's been a few changes. Some of them are subtle, some of them interesting, some of them I'll have to get used to, some of them are actually quite good. The body itself is fractionally larger. Once again, they've changed this part at the front through here, the grip. Once again, a bit more like the Canon R5. Does make it a little bit easier to get hold of, and while you shouldn't do this, you can carry it with the small lens would be good. With big lens, hang on to the lens, not the body. Hint, you break things otherwise. All right. One thing that they have changed is the front dial, and the old one used to be around the shutter button. It's now moved down into the front here. I think I have to get used to that. I quite liked it being around the shutter button because you could make the adjustment on your speed and just push the button without any significant movement, but it's nothing dramatic at the end of the day, so once again I think you'll get used to it. Another big difference is that the power button is much smaller. On the old cameras it was very large, it was like a finger width, very easy to get to. This one is smaller, as I said, but what you do have the advantage, it sits next to the viewfinder here, so you do have a bit of a guide to help you get it to turn it on and off. So I don't think that's going to be a significant difference at the end of the day. The other thing that's also interesting on the back is the second function button here is much smaller, and it's also faced differently. In the old ones, the switch used to be on this side. You flick it up and down, there's quite a large switch. It was actually quite easy to knock by accident and flick it into the second position. This one's much smaller, a bit tighter switch as well. Whether it's just because it's new, I don't know. But once again, it's going to be harder to bump, and it's a much more positive action in that as well. So that's going to be a lot more beneficial in using that switch as well. Other than that, main dials on the top are the same. The menu, as they say in the reviews, has changed quite significantly as well. It's probably more along the lines of the Nikon and Canon type menus, a lot more colourful, a lot more move back and forth, menu bars across the top, that type of thing. Setting it up, interesting just to try and find the position of where I could change it to a RAW. You are going to have to read the manual. There's a few things that have changed that you will have to get used to. The LCD screen on the back, once again, nice and clear, quite visual, nice touchscreen motion to it as well. And I've also just noticed that there's also a little joystick on the back here now as well, which I'm not quite sure the benefit of when you've also got the joystick sitting there. I guess I'll find that as well. So yes, first impressions, look, viewfinder is brilliant. No changes from the speed, maybe some slight improvement in terms of focusing. Some slight layout changes to the buttons, nothing I think which are dramatic at the end of the day. Changes to the menu which will require some getting used to. Disappointing about the USB-C cable for charging the thing. I am getting the battery charge as part of the deal, which I got to say I'm looking forward to after playing around with that. Hopefully a bit easier and a bit quicker. Even just using it briefly, I could see the battery drain in the camera once again. So if you're going to use something like the f4-300 lens, you will need a second battery for it. There's no doubting that. Overall first impressions, yeah, I'm happy. I'm really looking forward to getting outside. I think the next night or two is going to be sitting down with the manual, going through it, setting up everything properly, and then next weekend, assuming we can get out of these thunderstorms, go out and give it a go, and I'll give you another video then of how it will perform out in the field. So until next time, this is Flap. Happy birding.